Hey there, welcome to the garden. I am out here doing a few just kind of garden things, and I thought I would turn on the camera and share. I just cut back some of my petunias, and I cut back some of them pretty hard just to kind of hopefully, I guess, get a restart. For me, petunias are gonna last all the way through till pretty much frost. Actually, petunias are one of those plants that are pretty cold. I mean, they're not cold hardy plants, but they're pretty cold tolerant. I feel like we think of them as such a quintessential summer annual. Obviously they are. They're so classic, they're so traditional, but they are also a pretty decent cold hardy plant. And so I don't want to let them go. This is kind of the time of year where they start to get really leggy. Here's one. I'm about to cut this guy back. So it was growing sort of beside another container, so it started kind of growing off the side here, and it's just like, ugh, you know, not looking great. But if I come in here and trim it up, it'll end up having hopefully kind of like a second lease on life. At least this is my plan. This is my hope for it. So I already cut a couple of them back, and I honestly wasn't too careful. I just kind of came in and took the ends off of of some of the stems to just kind of let it refresh. And it's hard to see all those blooms over there looking like that, but I know that once they all come back and it's reblooming and looking beautiful, I'll be glad, and this sacrifice of blooms will be okay. I did also, speaking of blooms, pick a few of these zinnias. They were kind of reaching the end of their life, the wiggle test, and I decided I was gonna have to deadhead them anyway, so I might as well just pick them and enjoy them for a little while inside. So I just stuck them in my little pond for now to make sure they get some water. And then I also picked a couple eggplants. I'm gonna make like a crock pot chicken tomorrow, and so I figured I would just throw the eggplants in and let them kind of cook down in the crock pot with the chicken, and I think that'll be delicious. I know a lot of people struggle with what to do with eggplants. We think of eggplant parmesan as like a classic thing, but you can just like throw them in like taco meat, anytime you're making a tomato sauce, anything like that. Just throw in some of your eggplants, chop them up really small, and they're almost like mushrooms where they will just kind of take on the flavor, I guess, and just kind of add like a little bit of extra body and meat, and just be really good. So I'm just gonna open up my pop-up container here and throw all these stems in. Try to keep the garden as tidy as I can. I toyed around with moving the butterfly bush. I always get the garden clean and then I end up with like these big projects. I toyed around with moving the butterfly bush out of that area, but I moved it out and it's too big. It doesn't look as big back there. It's right there, over there. But I do need to come in and deadhead it, so I'm gonna do a bunch of extra deadheading while I am trimming up these petunias. But I'm just gonna get these other ones trimmed back. This is just your reminder, if you're hitting this point in the season, things start to look a little on the edge, you can do some pruning in advance and really prevent or extend, I guess, prevent them from just totally petering out, and extend hopefully your bloom time. I'm gonna come over here, I'll show you this. It's not very ceremonious. I'm doing a hard prune this round, so I just come in. And you don't have to be, it's almost like, don't look at the blooms you're taking off. This is for future blooms. You don't want to prune off so much of the plant that your plant can't recover. So, only take like about a third of the plant if you can. Sometimes you can do a bit of a harder prune. I did also finally remember to fertilize the garden. You can see some of those petunias could also benefit from a little bit of fertilizer, and I did just come out with a fish fertilizer and give all the pots a little bit of fish fertilizer. Even the perennials, kind of their monthly, this is their monthly, their August fertilizer. I like to fertilize my container perennials, especially when they're flowering, once a month. I feel like that just ensures that they've got enough food, that they stay happy in the containers. And yeah, Plus good to do. Sometimes some of these garden chores just kind of linger on your to-do list. So I think that's the biggest thing. I also, oh my gosh, I tied up the tomatoes. The tomatoes I tied up, and look, we've reached the top. So this is a 15-foot arch, and we now have reached the top of it. So each one of these tomato plants is at least about 7 feet tall, which is pretty cool, and they're still growing. I don't even know what to do with the spoon tomato. It's getting so wild. I couldn't even like tie it onto the trellis. So at this point, we're just letting it go completely crazy. I don't even know. Also this, I see hummingbirds on this salvia every single day. It's absolutely wonderful. So now I'm just looking around and seeing if there's anything else I need to trim. You know, just come out here. Stuff like this. Like, let's see. Okay, there's another bloom coming there. So just take this off. Pick up the tomatoes that have fallen. And look, this is a probably like an echinacea or a black-eyed Susan that is coming up in between the stones. I should pull that out. I wonder if I should try to save that. Looks like there's a little bit of pest pressure on it, but I kind of love the fact that it's just coming up between the stones. And the corn is growing by the day. I mean, everything is growing so fast. I also saw, okay, more exciting things. If you saw my other video, I seeded some lettuce over here, and look, it germinated in literally 24 hours. That's pretty cool. Or 48. Pretty cool. So hopefully the pests stay off that, and I'll be really curious to see how that does in this. We're still in the middle of, you know, Virginia summer. It stays hot for us here. It stays hot all the way through October, you know, end of September really. So I don't know how the lettuce is going to do, but we did have kind of a cool week. So we've been like in the 80s, which is just beautiful. It's been so nice. I've been getting outside with the girls and enjoying, just pick up my hose, and been enjoying that nice weather. So maybe there's hope for the lettuce. I don't know. That will be interesting. The last thing I really need to figure out, and I don't even think I'm going to do it tonight, but this straw flower I've had in its nursery pot, I bought it like a month or two ago, and I have not planted it yet, which is kind of strange for me because usually I plant everything, but I haven't found a spot for it. So I need to figure out what container it is going to go in, what I'm going to do. I'm not quite sure yet my plans for fall containers. I know we're actually kind of getting toward that time of year. Like pretty soon the next containers we'll be putting together are going to be fall containers. So I may just try to limp it along in the pot. It's not looking super happy though, and I noticed a Japanese beetle on it. So I may need to find a better home for this guy. Looks like the roots aren't coming out of it yet, so maybe we have a little bit of time. I am going to order a bunch of straw flower seeds. I've been doing some seed, like I haven't placed any orders yet, but I've been doing some sort of seed looking, seed dreaming, seed shopping, and I want to get some scabiosa. Would really love to get some pincushion flower and then some more straw flower. Both of those, I mean, I know they kind of look alike, which is probably why I'm they're both appealing to me right now, but I think they're both so pretty, and I just really want to add some of those to my garden. So if you have favorites, let me know, but I'm definitely going to be doing some seed shopping for those coming up here. It's time to start thinking about next year's garden, so I've got to start coming up with some plans for the garden and start thinking about, I mean, I have a lot of seeds, but I really next year want to grow a lot of my plants from seed. That's going to be a goal for me, to do a lot of it. And so I want to kind of look into some more plants that I can direct sow, some different kinds of cosmos and zinnias, because starting everything inside when you're starting a lot of stuff from seed is obviously, it takes up a lot of space. It gets a little exhausting. So I'm going to start that process of sort of planning and seed shopping and thinking about what I can direct sow as far as flowers go, and vegetables and all of that, just so I don't have to start a ton inside. I think it'd be nice to be able to just direct sow. And this is the time of year where seed companies, they're getting rid of their 2023 stock, so sometimes they have some extra like deals and free shipping and things like that. So it is a good time to start kind of looking, and so I might start doing some of that here in the near future. But mosquitoes are kind of getting bad out here. I think I might wrap it up, just kind of sweep up the garden and go inside, and I don't know if I'm gonna deadhead that butterfly bush, although it's looking at me. I really need to. Hey there, so it is actually a couple days later, but I filmed some updates from the patio garden upstairs, and so I wanted to just put these in this video and just kind of share with you how the garden in a window box is doing, because it's actually doing really well, and I've been getting some harvest out of it, and even though it's a small reservoir of soil, yeah, it's just been going really well. So I'm going to insert that clip. So here is a little update on the garden in a window box. So as you can see, I've had to take out the cucumbers. They succumbed to the heat. Just kind of, that happens in our area. We get a little bit too hot for cucumbers in the summer, but everything else is doing really well. There's a bunch of tomatoes on these better bush tomato plants, and I actually have harvested some pretty good, like 2-inch round tomatoes off of them, and I've gotten a couple little peppers, and I just put some eggplants from this eggplant into our tomato sauce last night, and we've got a few more eggplants growing. So I know a lot of people were worried about the size of the soil reservoir, and certainly the bigger the reservoir, the easier it is, but it has still been working, and I've just been fertilizing this weekly. We've got the strawberry plants, which I've been harvesting some strawberries off of. My daughter and I picked a bunch of the strawberries lately, and I probably should get in here and deadhead these petunias, but it's honestly been doing really, really well. Got a couple peppers. Yep, there's some more peppers coming. This pepper plant is just absolutely loaded. And then I also wanted to talk about my green stalk planter. I've made a few edits to it throughout the season, and there's a few different things going on. I have put in a lot of herbs. So we've got all kinds of basil and thyme. And then I did add in some more flowers, so some of the little calabricoas, which I find do really, really well in the green stalk planters. Petunias, calabricoas, those can I sometimes have trouble with them in some of my containers, but they always do really well in the green stalk planters, so that's kind of fun. And then I've got all kinds of other things in there too. There's a big kale in there. I've actually got rhubarb growing in that container, and I'm trying to think what else all is in there, but there's mint and just all kinds of things, and it's really filled in, and at this point in the season is looking really, really good. So I just wanted to share with you a little look at what that garden is, because I don't really share my upstairs patio too much. I don't really do all that much with it, but those two planters in particular are looking so great that I had to kind of give you a little update on those. All right, that's about it for that, but I just wanted to say now a final goodbye. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon.